So there's no mystery here. This is just simply a sharpening stone that's fallen out of favour. I don't know when they started making these first. My guess is probably early 20th century. This one's made by Norton Abrasives. It's probably a lot of woodworkers would know it. It's the Norton India Fine. This is actually the IB8, which has got a coarse side like a crystalon, and this red side is the aluminium oxide, and that's fine. What does fine mean? It means probably about sort of 400 grit. Now, for a lot of you, if you are looking at different sharpening supplies, you'll be thinking, wow, blimey, 400 grit, that sounds coarse. And yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but you don't need to worry too much about that. So you saw us just at the start of the video, we were planing up some material. You can see the reflective nature of that cherry. Okay, now cherry's not the most difficult timber on earth to plane, but it's a hardwood, and if you're making furniture at home, that's something that you could encounter, and it's dealt with that absolutely fine. Okay, so the nice thing about the Norton India is that it's very low cost. It's certainly less than £30 in the UK at the moment. Different suppliers, certainly between £20 and £30. And for that £20 or £30, you're never going to wear it out. It's just going to be impossible. You're going to have to be a really, really heavy woodworker to be able to get it there. So yeah, really long lasting. It's also quite resistant to dishing. And what we mean by dishing is just that quite often people can either hollow out the middle of the stone or in its length as well. Now we minimise that by using the whole stone. At the end of the day, we've bought the whole stone, so let's use the whole thing. Now, as for honing solutions, I just pick up baby oil. This is like, I don't know why I got Johnson specifically. Any cheap baby oil is going to be fine. Some people report that they think it's too thick, but from my point of view, it's absolutely fine. And this stuff is dirt cheap. And what's nice about baby oil, which is just mineral oil, is that it's going to keep the corrosion at bay as well. A lot of people then worry about, well, I'm going to transfer dirty marks to my workpiece. And yeah, you might have to be careful with that, but there is no perfect solution. Diamond stones don't last forever, and they're expensive. And they don't go up much finer than the Norton India unless you spend mega bucks. And water stones are lovely, but they still make a mess. You're still going to wash your hands, and your tools are more likely going to rust out. And also, if you've got a cold workshop, water stones can be frustrating because water and freezing conditions is not a great combination. Okay, so I'm not going to dull you with the whole sharpening routine, but this size stone, which isn't a 2-inch wide, is well suited to freehand sharpening. You can get 3-inch wide versions, although they're less commercially available. I think there's a company called Sharpening Supplies in the US that might sell them. If you want to use a honing guide, that would probably be a good option. But as you can, I don't know if you're hearing it on the video, I'll just shut up for a minute. You can really hear that cutting, can't you? And I'm not using hard pressure here, I'm just trying to use all the stone. And as I carefully there move my finger that way, we do what we call is raising a burr, which is just feeling that sharp edge on the back edge. It's just kind of rolled the steel back over as we've abraded it. You just hold it over, flat down, onto your cloth. Feel for that edge, it's gone. Now, same thing, check on the other side, because sometimes it can go over, but that's disappeared. Now I'm not going to even use a strop. A strop is a really good way to elevate the quality of an edge, but this is going to be just off of the stone. Okay, and I'm not going to do any wizardry or anything like that and there stop. This is going to be exactly the edge that you can expect. And the reality is, certainly with hand planes, especially with hand planes, to get a good surface finish, you need to be doing things like reading the grain direction. That's going to be important. Learning how to set this, the cap iron. I'm not going to get deep into that for you now. That's for another day. I just want to show what Norton India is capable of. Making sure that the sole on your metal plane is waxed. All those things are of more importance And I'm not saying that you should just buy a Norton India and that's what you should do and you should be wedded to that for the rest of your life. You know, you go ahead and try different things. But there's going to be some people out there who the choice can be overwhelming, and it's like, do you know what? Just keep it simple early doors. A lot of home woodworkers back in the day, say sort of 1950s to 1970s, this is what they would use, and they would use it without complaint. They would be happy with their results. Again, I'm not going to go through the nuances of setting up a hand plane, that's for another day. You can see straight away that I'm getting good shavings. And a nice clean finish. And like I said, the bigger challenge is knowing how to get the best from your plane rather than obsessing about having the latest and greatest sharpening grips. And within reason, you're not looking to take 1,000,001 fine shavings. You want to kind of get the job done. While it can be fun to get lots of fine flowing shavings coming off, what you ideally want to get is a board that's clean and reflective, just like that. And that's just off a 400 grit Norton India stone. Okay, so that's something to think about.